Hello, welcome back. This is a little vlog from our time in Bristol. Prior to this we had spent 2 nights in Bath, which you might have seen in the vlog that went up before this one. But because Bristol is only 15 minutes away on the train, we thought, you know what, let's pop over there and see what Bristol has to offer. It's somewhere that I'd never been before, my best friend Izzy had never been before. I'll also just take this opportunity to say thank you to Visit Bristol and Visit West who hosted us. We were only in the city for 1 night, so we obviously didn't have time to do all of the amazing things that Bristol has to offer. As a reminder, I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user and I have a chronic illness. I don't necessarily reflect every disabled person's thoughts and experiences because we're all wonderfully unique. And I will say that you will see there's a lot of voiceovers in this vlog. I'd reached a point in the trip where I was having to think extra carefully about conserving energy, but I hope it's still a worthwhile watch if you're perhaps planning a trip of your own one day. So let's get straight on with the video, starting with arriving into Bristol on the train and heading over to Cabot Circus. We have just checked into our room. We're at Future Inn's Cabot Circus. It's in a great location. The sofa bed comes out into a bed as well. It's really easy to get around in the wheelchair, which is always really handy. And we have a nice accessible bathroom through here. We've got the shower seat. All is as it should be. We are going to untie this. Also, just a moment of appreciation for the carpet. It's a proper squishy carpet and it's bringing us a lot of joy today. Very much approve of this. Getting a tad rainy outside, which doesn't bode well for our evening plans, but stay tuned and we're going to figure it out. Stay tuned. Stay tuned to figure out if I make it up again after my rest. I feel like I start every clip being like, I'm up again, I'm alive, I've rested and I'm alive again, but that is always cause for celebration. But I am alive, I am up. We have some very nice plans this evening. We're going to probably get a taxi over to Clifton. We're going to see Clifton Suspension Bridge and we're also going to have a wander around the Clifton Arcade, which looks really cool. Apparently there's loads of like quirky and independent businesses there. So we'll have a look around there, and then this evening we are going to somewhere called Kibou? I think you pronounce it Kibou, we don't know, but it looks absolutely lovely. It's Japanese food, which is a little bit out of my comfort zone, a little bit out of both of our comfort zones I would say actually, but it looks absolutely incredible. I did bring a nice outfit, but looking at the weather I think we're not going to risk that. The hair is up, the layers are on, and we're still going to have a lovely time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a bit more of Bristol. So we are in the White Lion pub. This was recommended to us by the people who work at the tourism board who set up this trip, and it was such a brilliant recommendation. Like, we're in this lovely outdoor space. There's the Clifton Suspension Bridge over there. There's a really great view in that direction as well. And I'm really impressed with the access here as well, actually. It was really easy to get in and to get through in a wheelchair. There's like ramps everywhere. There's an accessible toilet with a slope going up. I've got my chin and life is good. If you're visiting Kibou, it's worth knowing that the ground is a little bit tricky directly outside, so you'd be better off getting on the pavement at the bottom of the road rather than attempting this weird angle I thought was a good idea here. But oh my goodness, it's worth persevering with because this place is incredible. There's such a lovely atmosphere inside and all the staff were so lovely, and I don't think I even have the vocabulary to describe how good this food was. There were no nuts on site, which gave me some really good peace of mind with my allergy situation, and between us we tried the black lava salt edamame, the dynamite cauliflower, the oyster mushroom bao buns, and their signature volcano roll sushi as well. We ended up so full while we were sat here, but we knew we wouldn't be able to live with ourselves if we stopped eating any of the dreamy food in front of us.
Good morning from Bristol. You'll have to forgive me, I don't have any lipstick on, which is why my face looks a bit weird. This bed was a 10 out of 10, it has to be said. This is one of the comfiest beds I think I've ever slept in a hotel, so that was lovely. Completely forgot to vlog when I got in last night. We were both in a bit of a food coma after Kibou. The food was like off the scale incredible. It was such a lovely environment, the staff were all really lovely. I also thought I'd just mention, because I'm always conscious when I'm doing stuff like this, I never want it to seem like the world is suddenly an accessible place and everything is just sorted. We had a bit of a nightmare with taxis last night, and the accessible taxi situation is about the same in Bristol as it is in York, where I'm from, in that you can't, as far as I'm aware, maybe I'm wrong, as far as I'm aware, you can't pre-book, and if there isn't an accessible taxi working when you want to get picked up and to get back home, then you just don't get home. We had 3 people say they were coming to pick us up and then 3 people cancelling because they didn't have an accessible vehicle, and each time we waited 15 minutes for each one. A couple of people were very rude to us, which is sad, but we managed to find a bus eventually to get home, which is lucky because it was also torrentially raining at the time. But we live to tell the tale. Today is a new day, it's lovely and sunny, and we're just about to head downstairs for breakfast, which I'm very excited about. That was another really lovely breakfast actually. So both of the hotels that we've stayed in on this trip have had really good options for people with dietary requirements, which is always so lovely and it just makes life so much easier. We are just about to check out of this hotel now, and the plan for this morning is to walk over to the harbourside area. We've heard there's lots of good things to do over there. I'm crossing my fingers we're going to get to do the aquarium because I blooming love an aquarium. So we'll see how we get on today. Our train home goes at about 2ish, so we've got some time to go and see a bit more of Bristol. Like I said, I love an aquarium and this one was so good. As well as all the exhibits they have here, they're also a centre for education and conservation, and they aim to inspire people to protect the world's waters, and they're also the only aquarium in the UK that has a giant botanical house as well. The access in here was really good, and it was actually a lot easier to navigate the spaces and move between exhibits than I've found it in similar venues in the past. Like, look at these ramps here, I was having a grand old time. I think the black pacu fish was my favourite species of the visit because, let's face it, he looks how I feel on a bad fatigue day. But it was all so gorgeous in here, so I'll pipe down now and let you enjoy the rest of this footage in peace. Dog-faced pufferfish. It turned out the harbourside area in Bristol was a lot bigger than we thought it was, but we did end up with some time after we finished up in the aquarium, so we thought we'll have a wander and we'll head over to the SS Great Britain. Apologies in advance because the first few seconds of the voiceover you're about to hear are a little bit crackly, but it does get better, I promise. So the SS Great Britain was once the largest passenger ship in the world from 1845 to 1853, and it was the first iron steamer to cross the Atlantic Ocean, where it would carry passengers from Bristol to New York City.
The ship carried people and resources all over the world for almost a century, and then ended up abandoned for 33 years, before an English businessman paid for it to be repaired and towed back to Bristol so it could be opened as a museum and the visitor attraction it is today. We were amazed at how much of the site and the ship itself we could reach while I was using my wheelchair. Understandably, there were some narrow corridors and sharp turns required while we were on the ship, but there are access maps so you can see the best routes to things, and even an accessible toilet built into the saloon deck of the ship. There were lifts and platform lifts to all 3 floors, including the dry dock so you can see the hull of the ship that would normally be underwater, and the exterior lifts on the ship were themed so well that somebody actually had to point them out to us. Really cool experience, and the staff here in particular was so great. So friendly and up for a natter, but full of stories from history and all this useful knowledge too. Doing a bit of risky filming here. There's a body of water over there, so this could end badly. But we've just been on the cargo ship, which was really impressive. The access was genuinely impressive. I think they did that really well, didn't they? So now we are on a bit of a time crunch, but we've heard really good things about cargo, which to my knowledge has lots of like little independent food outlets, and it's not far from the ship at all. So we're walking towards cargo now, hopefully to get some nice din-din. 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 What a great time to say that for the first time. Forgot to mention this, but the place I chose to get lunch from at cargo was called Herbivore, and the woman who was in there was so lovely. We had a really good chat. It was like a vegan deli, so I tried this like farinata, kind of like a frittata but vegan. And they hadn't had any peanuts on the premises for the last 2 weeks, which meant I had free reign. I could choose what I wanted, so I went and got a s'mores brownie as well, and I ended up having that on the train home, and it was absolutely delicious. Big salad as well. Cannot recommend it enough if you're lucky enough to be nearby. Kind of debating going back to Bristol just so I can go there again. Okay, we've had a slight cinematic gap in the vlog whereby we realised we were on a time crunch and we couldn't book a taxi, so we've just legged it back to the hotel. We've got a taxi on the way and we are about to head back to Bristol Temple Meads, which is a shame because we were having a very nice time, weren't we? And the sun's coming out now, but we've had a lovely morning. Shame it wasn't a little bit longer, but we have to go and do the train and start the journey back up north now. There's a bit of a cinematic gap here as well, because what happened next is we thought there was an accessible taxi coming to pick us up from the hotel to take us to the train station, so we were sat there waiting. Again, this didn't happen, so in the end the only choice we had was to walk, or in my case wheel, back to the train station, which was quite tricky with all the luggage and after a long few days, so it wasn't ideal. But we got to the station. We were worried we weren't going to get the train. Well, we were worried we weren't going to get there in time to check in for passenger assistance to get the train. But we got there, we went to check in, and it turned out our train had been cancelled. And the next one wasn't for an hour, so we needn't have rushed at all, but that happened. To briefly update, train got cancelled. Next one wasn't for an hour. We're going to get home very late. We're in Wetherspoons. The passenger assistance people were really lovely, to be fair, and they recommended we just go to a nearby Spoons to decompress, so we went over there, we had a drink, and then we came back to try again. Luckily, we did manage to get on the next train. We weren't able to sit together, unfortunately, but again, the passenger assistance people were so lovely at Bristol Temple Meads, and they actually put us in first class for cross country, and they let me stay on that one train all the way home back to York, so I didn't have to change in Sheffield like I was expecting to. So it was very much the best of a bad situation, so I don't want to sound ungrateful. Again, just reflecting the fact that sometimes travelling with a disability comes with a lot of extra faff and admin, but sometimes a kind word or a helping hand or just a nice person who's willing to help, stuff like that can make a world of difference. That brings us to the end of our time in Bristol. It was very much a flying visit, but we had a really great time in both Bristol and Bath. We were so grateful for the opportunity to visit. I'm sure we've only scratched the surface with the things that we've shown in these vlogs, and there's so much more to do, and I can definitely see myself visiting again in the future. I do have blog posts and Instagram reels from both locations that are now live, so I'll link them below if you want to go and have a look. As you might be able to tell, ever since I got my new power chair, little adventures like this are very much back on the table, which I'm so happy about and feel so grateful for. So all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe if you want, especially if you want to see some future adventures. And yes, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.